We are early.
Yeah, that's probably why people are slow coming in. If you know, they should wait at least until after.
Oh, that's funny. You're just hilarious.
Good evening, Chicago. We're getting enemy lines. Hey, Brent. Akik. Mexico.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Well, we want to get international people in here. We got some from Canada, eh? Nebraska.
Jordan, we will get into questions very soon. We'll just give everybody a chance first.
Hawaii. San Antone. Salina, Texas. Green Bay, Wisconsin. I bet it's cold up there. My God.
I think I made this too strong. I think it needs more tea than.
Indiana. Michigan, Motor City. Buongiorno, come stai? We have one from Italy.
So how is everybody doing? Is everybody well? Hope better than I am. Oh, this is strong.
Georgia.
So I apologize for the lack of content that's not been on the channel recently. As our regulars can attest to, I do not sound like my normal self. This is the best I've sounded in a week. I've been battling the flu and some different infections, sinus infections and things going on. So I've been pretty down for the count. It takes a lot to take me out, and this definitely took me out. Today is the first day I've really been up and mobile, and we filmed 4 videos today, and I've already edited 2. And during Q&A tonight, hopefully my voice lasts. I am over here drinking hot toddy, which is a peppermint tea, honey, cinnamon stick, and a nice shot of whiskey. I'm not used to whiskey.
Jack Daniels Fireball.
It tastes pretty strong, but I'm hoping it's gonna clears out my throat. So Mama Solutions on the mend. Yeah, I think the most challenging part is filming and not trying to cough while we film. So I'm trying to wait for him to like stop, have a pause, cough my lungs out, and then keep going.
Jerry, emo.
I'm actually thrilled to be up and having some sense of normalcy right now in my life after being sick. So I did open it up for questions earlier. Sean is the only one who has he didn't even send a question. Sean, if you're in here, you didn't put a question in with your donation, but if you have one, if you can email me separately at hpartachi@smallarmsolutions.com. I will pull it for you. If anyone would like to donate tonight, you can do that by hitting the $ for the super chat function. Google does take 30% of your donations, which is quite a bit. So our preferred method is donor box, and I just put that link in the chat. It works the same way you would put your question in the notes section of your donation, and I'll get an email and have my phone here, and then you'll get priority over all the questions coming in. You don't have to donate to get your question answered. Most of our questions are unpaid, but it helps our channel and keeps us going and keeps us honest, and we don't take sponsorship. So your donations are what fund Small Arm Solutions and keep us going. In fact, I do want to say too that we filmed a video on an ammo company, and I did put it in the video, but yeah, there's a video coming out about an ammo company, and it's not affiliated or sponsored in any way, and I don't want it to look like we're going down that path. It's just an ammo company that Chris thought would fill a void and a necessary need going on for right now. But so yeah, your donations help fund SAS and keep us going. So we appreciate you, and hopefully we'll get through a lot of questions, and hopefully this hot toddy will keep my voice activated for as long as possible. Jordan wants to know if you have any advice for new farm store employee.
Do your research and don't bullshit customers, because there's a lot of people out there who have to have answers, and there's nothing more embarrassing than when you start bullshitting and the person that you're talking to knows more than you do, and then you lose all your credibility. If you don't know the answer, tell them you don't know the answer, because again, once you start making stuff up and you get caught, your credibility's gone.
I think Chris lives by that too, as he'll tell you now. Like I don't know. If I don't, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. What's your favorite LPVO?
I have a few of them here, but my ones I tend to like to use the most are both the Vortex and the Sig, the 1 to 6s. Well,
Are
I
you
also Trijicon, I throw that one in there too. I do like that one as well.
are you following IWA?
Not much. I see a few things here and there. I was hoping to go to that this year, but things just did not go out in that direction. Uh, Maybe next year I'll be able to get to that one. Um, I'm sure it's been an interesting show.
What is your opinion on the ballistics of an 11.5-inch 5.56 AR pistol?
11.5 inch and 10.5 inch is the very minimum you're going to want to go. You do lose quite a bit of velocity going down that low. Um, it helps to have a boat like the 77 grain OTM that will still yaw without having to have the higher velocity. You don't get as much hydrostatic shock. Um, Ideal barrel length for me has always been 16 inches, but I would not go ever below the 10.5 inches. But the 11.5 will give you more dwell time than the 10.3. So the longer barrel you got sticking, in front of the gas port, the better.
Can you explain how barrel weight affects buffer weight?
Well, it's basically just physics. You have a large mass, then you have another mass that's accelerating and smacking into it. The heavier mass you have in front, more elasticity that you have. So as you have that heavier barrel, is the standard bolt carriers coming towards a much heavier barrel than it was designed, it's going to rebound. That's what the buffers are in there. Buffer does by having the weights in there is it counters that buffer, so you don't get that bounce, so you don't have any problems on full automatic fire with light strikes. But again, basically, it's two masses that are colliding. Um, you look at what it was designed for was the M16 was the standard M4 type barrel or standard M16 type barrel. That three steel weights does just fine. As you started adding weight to it, for instance, the M4 barrel, you ended up having that issue. Of course, buffers can be used for other things as well, not just carrier bounce. But what we're talking about specifically is carrier bounce here. And carrier bounce affects mostly selective fire weapons.
I like the hand visuals that we're doing. Your demonstrations with your hands. Those are
It's Italian. What are we gonna do?
my favorite. Is when he tells me he wants a tight shot, and he says, "I want right here. I want it tight." And then I do it, and then he starts talking outside of the frame with his hands, and I'm like, okay, so am I supposed to be seeing this visual representation with your hands, or did you want that tight shot? Um, TB from Donor Box, thank you, TB. He says, what do most new companies prefer to make? Short stroke piston instead of long stroke system. Long stroke seems to be simpler.
Long strokes, they do give a little bit better recoil. But they're actually more complex to make because you're having to keep all kinds of parts straight, true and long. Also, the way that you attach the carrier can be an issue as well. When you have a carrier such as the M16 carrier that was not designed that way. You're basically attaching it by two screws and generally some kind of a stop notch. It tends to not be as durable on the carrier key as well. So it's just there's been a lot more R&D and development going into short stroke tappet than there has into long stroke. There's really only two companies that have successfully done long strokes, and that's PWS and Adcor Defense.
What's your opinion on the AK-12 rifle?
It's just another evolution. Uh, there's a couple changes, giving it better stock. It's certainly making it. It's certainly updating it as best as you can with that design. Still basically an AK. Um, be nice to see some come into this country, but between the sanctions that was put on several months ago, and of course the way things are now, I doubt we'll ever see one unless we see one made here.
Do you think the 7.62 by 39 will ever be plentiful again?
That's a really tough question. Um, and I don't normally talk about rumors, but I'll tell you a rumor that I heard. I heard the Palmetto State Armory bought Tula, and they're bringing over the machinery to make steel case ammunition here. And if that is true, uh, it, still I can't see the ammunition being so much cheaper here because you're paying for American labor. I don't see it being that much more expensive. I'm sure somebody's going to come in here to fill the void. I don't know if we'll get prices down that low because there's very few countries left that do a lot of steel cartridge cases. Most of it is brass. Um, it's going to be really interesting to see, how this comes along.
Dorian on Thunderbox, he says no question tonight. Thank you,
Thank
Dorian.
you.
We appreciate you. In your travels, Chris, what kind of small arms have you come across in Eastern Europe, specifically Ukraine? And what are they running in their AK 7.62, 5.45, or 5.56?
The first time I was in Ukraine was probably 5 years ago, and at that time it was all Soviet. It was all AK-74s. Um, AK-47s are pretty much decommissioned. They still had them in their reserves. You did see PKMs. You did have actually, you just did have SVD Dragonovs. When I went back 3 years ago, we started seeing some more of the Ukraine-produced weapons. They had some more of their basically it's a 7.62 by 39 version of an AR. They're manufacturing over there that takes the AR AK magazines, AR 7.62 by 39, not the AK mags. Started seeing a little bit more of that. But for the most part, it was disturbing because the equipment was from the fall of the Soviet Union in '94. There wasn't really anything that was new. Um, when we were on the range, we were refilling belts of 7.62 by 54R. We would have boxes of 20 that would be pulling the rounds out and sticking them in the belts and doing that. The grenades that we had there for their 40 millimeter grenade launchers, there wasn't very many of them available. The AK-74s, they were still firing, but the accuracy was not there even for what they should be. The Dragonovs that we had there were god awful. I mean, my God, I mean that was minute a barn door. Those things were so shot out. Um, the equipment was in disarray, and then a couple other places that I went on my last trip. We went to there was some bases and some militia camps that were around in the mountains outside of Kiev. Um, I saw a lot of different AK-47s, mostly Soviet. Um, the guns that the militia had were more of the 7.60 by 39. The active duty army they were more using the 5.45. Occasionally, you came across some very nice looking rifles. Most of the rifles looked like they saw the war in Afghanistan. Their equipment that they had back then was really, really rough shape. I was going through it. It was part of what I was doing over there was assisting with weapons maintenance and going through
Mhm.
equipment and making recommendations. And as I said, most stuff that I saw, they should have been on the battlefield.
Well, and that's disheartening to hear, knowing where
Yes, it
we are
is.
currently. We did barrel weight, right? Affects
Yeah.
buffer weight. I'm going to be off tonight, guys. I'm just going to warn you right now. My head feels like it's swimming. Okay, now I found where we're off. What is your opinion on the M&P Sport II?
It is a good, complete basic gun. For its cost, it's not bad at all. I do have a video on the M&P too. It's one of my older ones, but we have a full go through it.
Did I do bunnies? See, I'm way off. Would you recommend a 10.5 inch? I'm sorry, buddy. Would you recommend a 10.5 inch FN barrel or 12.5 Critian core barrel for a suppressed SBR? Does 10.5 provide enough velocity at 100
I
yards?
would certainly go with the longest. 12.5 inch would be anytime. The longer the better. That's the rule. The longer the better. 10.5 will operate it because again you're starting to add pressure to it by having a can on there. But the 12.5 is certainly would be a better option.
Patrick on Donor Box. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thoughts on LMT Estonia reference rifle?
I have one right over here finally. Absolutely gorgeous rifle.
Mm.
You're looking at an accumulation of many years of knowledge, of lessons learned, and uh, it's extremely well made. The short stroke tappet piston is very well made. Carrier is very well made. Um, I'll be doing a video on it in the not too distant future. If you have the pocketbook for it, I couldn't recommend that rifle higher. It's gorgeous. Probably one of the top external piston guns I've ever seen.
Dustin on Donor Box says, no question tonight. Keep up the good work. Thank
Oh,
you,
thank you.
Dustin. Appreciate it. If you only torqued the barrel nut once when assembling an upper, should you disassemble it and retorque the barrel nut 3 times?
The reason why that you do that is because if you torque it once, you could have burrs on the threads of either the barrel nut or the receiver, and you could have what's referred to as a false torque, meaning after the gun shoots a little bit, those edges wear off, and then the barrel nut comes loose. So the reason why you torque back off, torque, and then tighten is so you wear off any of those edges, so you're sure that you have a positive torque. Um, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't tear the gun apart if you don't have to, but if you have any reason to believe that it's getting loose or your accuracy shifting, then I would definitely take a look at it. But there is a reason why that's done, and a lot of people say, "Oh no, you don't have to." Well, there is a reason why it was done. There was a reason there was an engineering change order at Colt to do it. So and those of you who have my armor's manuals, you'll see that it's clearly called out in there.
Does Diamondback back make good AR-15 barrels?
Yes, they do. In fact, you're going to be seeing a video coming up the next few weeks on the DB10 308, which I just did some shooting with, which I'm very, very fond of. It's a beautiful rifle. They do very good work over there, and they do it at a damn good price.
I want to keep my front sight block, but want to get a free-floated handguard. My options are Centurion, Daniel Defense, and Midwest Industries. What are your thoughts? Are Centurion and Daniel Defense worth the 150 more than MI?
Centurion is. Basically, all you got to do is you can just you can take your barrel off without touching your front sight base. You can take off your snap ring, your spring weld, and your delta ring. Put everything back on, and you can put on your free floating handguard. I do not recommend taking off your pins, the shaper pins are holding in their front sight base. I do not recommend taking those out because those are not meant to come out.
And just as a refresher, we do have codes for Centurion. If you would like to save yourself a few bucks, we have codes for complete rifles, codes for uppers and lowers, and then 10% off everything else on their site. So that may help you close the gap with that extra amount of money that you are looking to spend and go up for that. Carrie wants to know, NRA will be in Houston over the Memorial Day weekend. I will be attending. Will you?
Absolutely.
What is your take on the primer shortage?
It is what it is. It's all materials are going up in price, not as much as you would think, judging by what the dealers are charging for ammunition. But it's one of those things that as soon as the stuff comes in, it's used. Um, Actually, I heard that it was getting better. So that's just from the manufacturers I've talked to. They say it's getting better.
I am sorry. We have the puppy is trying to fight with the old dog.
You saw terriers are at it.
Yeah. We got this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have trust in a Geisley Super Duty or Noveske brand rifle as far as overall quality and performance compared to Knight's SR-15, which are hard to find?
Well, for as far as Geisley is concerned, Geisley is an excellent rifle, but it too, like I think the SR-15 is over. You're paying too much. You're paying for the name. However, when you compare the cost of a Geisley to an SR-20 or SR-15, I would definitely go with a Geisley over that Noveski. They're probably in between those prices between the two of them, which is also excellent firearms. Um, you're looking at top tier with all these. There's another one I probably would take a look at, and that would be the Radian. I do have a Radian here, and I tend to prefer it over the Geisley. The Geisley, although it's got a very nice trigger in it, you can put that trigger in anything. Um, your rails are extremely heavy. It's front heavy. You have, the enhanced springs and stuff in the back, which are not necessary. A lot of things that you have on the Geisley, which you're paying all the money for, things don't really give you all that much. They claim their finish is better than anybody else's. It's a military finish and all that. But overall, for as far as the mechanics are concerned, I don't think that you're getting really that much to justify the price tag. I think that there are some better options that are out there. As I said, I just had my Radiant arms out on Monday, and boy, I tell you, you want to talk about a very sweet functioning rifle. It has all the same features these other ones do. Accurate as hell, and the machining is just second to none.
Do you post private videos on Patreon thinking of signing up? I can honestly tell you I haven't posted anything private to Patreon in a while. I'm sure there are a few videos on there that aren't available on the channel, but it's been a while since I have done that. I do sometimes, like the JFK series, release it early to Patreon, and that's the reason why I pulled your question right now is because um, I am going to be releasing some videos sooner to Patreon the month of March. Um, like a week in advance, just as a thank you to the people who are signed up and supporting us there, because we'll have lots of videos that'll be coming up and some exciting announcements and things. So um, I haven't recently, but there will be some videos that will be going up to Patreon. Carrie on Donor thank you, Carrie. He says, "Does Aero Precision make their own AR barrels?"
They bought a company that makes barrels. So they don't Air doesn't make them specifically, but they bought a company that does.
And we did this one.
Yes.
See, I can't remember anything. My brain is like floating in ginger ale. I would say whiskey, but I haven't had enough of it yet to blame it on the alcohol. It's not that. It's my flu brain. Thoughts on the reliability of the CZ Bren 2MS carbine? I hear it's hard to get parts for in it.
Um, I haven't tried getting parts. All I can tell you is mine works beautiful. Mine, I did a 5,000 round test on mine, and the thing works just like nobody's business. It's an excellent rifle. Chances of you needing spare parts are pretty slim, but you do have CZ USA here, and I'm sure they can get you parts because they import them.
What is the purpose of a bayonet lug on a Mark 18?
It wasn't. There's no purpose for it. It's just they're using common parts, military parts. If you were to say you're building Mark 18s at Crane, for instance, you would have to introduce a whole new part number to have them, purchased from Colt special frontside bases that don't have bayonet lugs. It's done for parts commonality. There's no purpose for it. But if they can have a rifle that will use a part they already have existing in their inventory, they're going to use that rather than to bring in a new part, which really doesn't make any difference. So it's not that there's any difference. It's a common part.
Do you believe that putting a suppressor on a rifle can reduce flyers, increases accuracy?
You know, I haven't seen that with mine, but there's a lot of people who say that they do that when you place on certain rifles, depending on the suppressor, that it can increase accuracy. Um, I haven't seen that, but that's not saying that it's not true. Also, I'm not a sniper. I don't shoot, bullets through the same holes with my health condition and stuff. It doesn't happen, so I probably wouldn't even see that. People who are more precision shooters would probably be better to ask, a question like that too. But in a combat rifle, I don't think you'd see any difference.
Well, what do you think about Ammo Incorporated sending 1,000,000 rounds to the Ukraine?
I would like them to get anything any which way that they can. Uh, they deserve to have the help of NATO. Anything that we can do. Unfortunately, trying to get stuff out there with exports and all that kind of stuff is very difficult because anything you want to export out of this country has to go through the State Department. Through State Department, you have to have licenses. Licenses take time. They can be approved and they cannot be approved. I can remember last time I was in Ukraine, one of the gentlemen who I was working with, who I've been talking to, and in fact, I heard bombs going off as I was talking to him through Skype. He was trying to import some Faxon ARAC rifles. And because of the condition over there, State Department wouldn't approve of the license for them to import those rifles over there because they were concerned those getting in the hands of bad guys. So it's extremely difficult to get anything out of this country, especially over there. Especially you don't know who's going to be getting it. That's just part of this, part of this whole, export and all that. It's just end user certificates and all that. It's very complicated.
I saw the president was trying to petition for them to be a part of the EU.
Yeah, they should be.
Have imagined, it's not going to be like, okay, let's vote on that now. It's going to be another one of those things that's going to take,
Well, they're afraid of pissing Russia off because Russia's threatening a nuclear option, and he's the big bully who's pulling out that is his only card. Is he's threatening to use nuclear weapons? So they're trying to.
That's. John on Donald Brox. Thank you, John. He says, thank you as always, Bartacci's. Hope the queen feels better. Thank you. And the king is doing well. He never gets sick, which is ironic. No questions tonight. Always appreciate the knowledge you share with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Yeah, it's funny. Chris has an autoimmune disorder.
Yeah.
He never gets sick. It's the weirdest thing. I'm usually the one that's like kind of hands-on taking care of the kids. And we did have some sick kids. And then I was just around a lot of children for school activities. And yeah, it caught up with me. Thoughts on or opinions on Ruger SR 1911?
I have never had my hands on one, so I guess I can't give you one. I've been wanting to do some more Ruger stuff. I was hoping to be at SHOT Show this year to meet somebody up where I could get contact for T&Es, but it just hasn't worked out. Hopefully, it's going to be a while, but hopefully once NRA's here, they're going to be here, and I can make some contacts. But I would like to take a look at one myself. I'd like to take a look at more of their SR 5.56s as well.
What is your opinion on the V7 weapon systems gas? V7 weapon systems gas.
Cannot say I'm familiar with it. I think I may know what we're talking about here, but I need to do my homework before I give you any opinions on it. Sorry about that. Like I said, I don't give you opinions on things that I don't have my own hands on.
How much does sight radius affect point of impact on, is that a bias at extended ranges? BUIS?
Sight radius, the farther the sights are apart, the more accurate your iron sights are going to be. That was the whole point of the dissipator back in the day. Now with optics, dissipators have no use because they're not using iron sights. But that's and with optics, it's not really any. It has no use either. It's only with iron sights that you see any difference in that. The longer the sights are, the more range that you will have with them. The farther apart that they are.
Thoughts on BCM SOCOM upper?
I have been trying to get guns from BCM for 3 years now, and I have had absolutely no luck. Been told no in the past. Recently, I've been calling, and they've been saying that the guy I've been talking to has not been able to get an answer from Paul. So I'm assuming he doesn't want to send me anything for whatever reason. So, I really can't give you any opinion because I haven't really had time with the guns. Not for lack of trying. I've been trying. I mean, perhaps Paul doesn't like the channel or me or whatever. I have no idea. I don't have any reason why. Um, I have no reason, why they won't send me any guns to review. Makes no sense to me, but I keep trying.
I just love how you're like, I don't know if he like doesn't like me or the
I
channel.
don't. All the big boys have his guns. That's all I can say. The big channels, the million plus, you see BCMs all the time. Um, like I said, maybe I don't have enough numbers for him of subscribers. I don't know.
Mm.
I try. I do try as much as last week.
And if you don't like us when we're small, don't love us when we're big.
Yeah,
Because I'm just petty enough to be like, no, we don't want your
I
guns
certainly am.
now.
I certainly am.
Because I don't look at it like as a numbers game. Like we're not. Because I don't think of it as just like, well, you're just not just any other guy that has 80,000 whatever it is now subscribers. You're Chris Bertocci. Like you have a name in the
Well, a
industry,
lot
and
of
you
these
should.
marketing people look at it just as that. They look at it as numbers. Oh well, why do I want to go to somebody with 83,000 subscribers so I can go with somebody who has 1.25 million?
Well, the 1.25 million may not know his ass from his head. So,
Well, that's literally what a lot of these guys are. Federal's another one. Same thing. I can't get ammunition at all from Federal, but if you see they sponsor several of the channels, but I can't get a box from them.
an ammo is such a hot commodity.
Yeah, it still is.
Thank you for the advice on the spur mounts. I got a 34 millimeter and a 30 millimeter cant leveler QD mounts and love the quality.
They are the Swiss watch of mounts. They don't come better than that. They even put guys to shame.
What are your thoughts on the young manufacturing HMB Bolt BCG?
I'm using one right now. The rifle that I built, the Centurion, is using a chrome-plated young manufacturing bolt carrier with a chrome HMB bolt. I did replace all the springs with Springco springs, the extractor and ejector, and the thing is working beautiful. So far, I'm having very good luck with it.
What's your opinion of Palmetto State Armory AK rifles?
Um, the 7.62 by 39 rifle I had was fine. I didn't have any issues with it. The 5.45. The first one I had problems with. It came back. I put a couple hundred rounds through it. It was fine. Then I sent it off to Mishiko William Verhead to have him try it, and he had all kinds of problems with it. So last I knew, the AK-74s were no longer being sold. Um, it's very hard to reverse engineer something like that, and to be able to get it right. And they've struggled. They're still struggling, I think, building good AKs.
Oh, that BCM can go pound sand. Chris is the king.
I tried. Like I says, I hear a lot of good things about them, but
It's their loss. That's the way I look at it. What is your opinion on Diamondhead iron sights?
it's an interesting gimmick. Again, I think it is a gimmick. Um, I tried them many, many, many years ago, probably over 10, close to 10 years ago, when they first came out, and it didn't do anything for me. Um, but if you like it, you like it. I mean, it's just another mousetrap.
Are there any good sources for fall metric barrels? Foul metric barrels.
I'm not sure. That's a Misha question. If you guys can get a message sent over
Michiko.
to Mishiko, to William over there, he probably would be your better guy because the guy's a walking encyclopedia on fouls. Um, the only barrels that I know of that really are for sale that I've ever looked at were DS Arms.
Guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Bradley on Donor Box. Thank you, Bradley. Glock says they listen to their customers Who do we contact for suggesting a change on their guns for the next generation pistols, such as undercut of the trigger guard and others?
I think you're wasting your time. Um, I don't know who Glock listens to.
So I guess he's saying he
Uh,
doesn't agree with the list of customers.
no, they're one of those customers who, if you're going to be buying, a million guns, to listen to you. But your average customer, they won't. They're really going more towards the large contracts. If you look at a lot of the issues that have come up with between the generations, they switched to the finger grooves, and then they got rid of them. They got rid of them because the FBI didn't like them, and the FBI is where the Gen 5 came from, the G17M. So it wasn't you they were listening to for that. Um, I, I don't know, dude. They're really they generally don't listen. You can certainly call up and say, tell somebody, hey, I have a suggestion, and they'll probably listen to you and then hang up on you and forget they ever talked to you. I don't know of any reporting that they do. But I guess probably the best thing you can do is their customer service, send them an email.
Are you doing a T-Rex gun video? You might need more like a missile launcher for that, right?
What's that?
It's that he said,
A
"Are you doing a
T-Rex?
T-Rex gun video?"
Well, no, we know those are extinct. Bigfoots are not. They're
Oh
still
my
they're still
God,
here.
here we go.
That's all a different thing. Those animals are extinct.
Yeah, but they were actually real.
Bigfoots are real.
Okay.
It's about interesting news for you guys is we're just finishing up now the Vickers Guide Volume 2 for the AR-15, and I got to tell you, I've had a significant impact on the information that's in there, and you guys are going to love it. I can tell you right now, the stuff that you're going to be seeing in this one. I don't know how we were able to get a lot of it, but we were able to get a lot of really cool prototypes that you've never seen before. A lot of LMT stuff I was able to get in there. I'm actually really looking forward to that one coming out, but we're just starting to wind it down right now.
Your opinion on the AR-15 grip screws with the inner screw for trigger adjustment?
You know what? I was in my armor school one I did here. One of the guys brought one into me. I have it sitting in my bench. I have never used it, so I have one here, but I just really never have gotten around to using it. So I guess I couldn't tell you. Again, my rifles are set up for combat use. I don't want a trigger that's that adjustable.
Sean, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have copies to sign. Chris doesn't.
No, I will not have copies of sign.
Chris is not making royalties off that book.
No.
It's not like our Black Rifle book. Um, he's lended his expertise to this book, and they did give him a check this time, which was nice for his contribution to it. But we're not
No, you'll
we're
have to
not
send them
into
to me.
it going forward, so it's not something that we will be promoting and getting in and getting a signed edition unless there's the signed edition would be Larry Vickers.
You have to send them into us. There's no way we could do that. There's no way. It's those books are going to be probably. Oh God, I don't want to think about how much they're going to be. 150. These things are going to be huge.
How long should a carbine buffer spring last? How do you know when a buffer spring is worn out?
Very rarely will you wear those out. Those are more apt to rust and snap than they are to wear out. I would say a minimum of 2 barrels, which would mean if you change out the barrel twice, maybe you would want to change it out. It's just not a part that normally wears out. It's not under a lot of stress. Um, hell, we done destruction testings at Colt with them, and never had an issue. We've done. We had rifles that had over 20,000 plus rounds in that, and it was never replaced. It's just not a part that's under high strength. That's why I like with this Geisley one with having the wraparound springs. It's overkill. It's not a part that wears out on any kind of a normal basis.
I just would like you to know that your people, your audience here are coming from me to let me know that I am wrong and that Bigfoot is in fact real.
I want you to know, I was talking with a
Oh
gentleman.
my God, here we go.
He's a former special forces.
I'm really glad that I got better enough today to have this
And
conversation.
this gentleman,
today.
I'm looking at some of his guns in the not too distant future. And he's out of Utah. And evidently, Utah has a significant amount of Bigfoot sightings out there. And he told me to come on out because he's a believer too. And he
Everybody
actually says
says
he's
that.
seen one.
Oh my God.
So, and I do believe this guy. This guy's credibility is right up there.
What was the show that used to make me watch? Finding Bigfoot.
That wasn't as
Oh,
much
see, he
evidence
already
as the
knows
other
where I'm
ones.
going to go. Because the one guy was so like, he looked like he had been stoned off of his life. And so he was not exactly the advocate that you needed for the
But we
pro
have many
Bigfoot
others who
community.
are.
He was
We actually
literally,
have a Texas
he would
Bigfoot.
come out and say that Bigfoot liked Krispy Kreme donuts and bacon, and then would lay them across trees and say that for sure they would come and get it.
Bobo was not the greatest spokesman. There is no question. But we have other
He was
ones
not
who are
he was
incredible.
not an intelligent advocate for the
We actually
cause.
have also here in Texas our own Bigfoot Society, which I'm planning on joining actually one of these days.
Oh God,
And they do go
amazing.
out. They go out into
Oh,
northeast
God.
Texas is where they do their searching out here.
You're gonna join it. You would
Listen
too.
to her. One day she's gonna freaking bite her lip.
I like this question. How many guns should a person own?
If you can count them, you don't own enough.
If you have a number, then that might be a
Hey,
sign
however
you
much
didn't-
that interests you. If you're a collector, that's one thing. If you're just somebody who wants one for defense, hey, there's many different types of us. I'm a collector, and I know a lot of other collectors. And I know guys who just want to have one, in case shit hits the fan. So it just depends on how interested you are. If you want ones for different purposes, which there are. You have long range rifles, you have assault rifles, you have personal PVCs or pistol caliber carbines. You have defensive handguns. There's lots of different things you can have.
Or don't be, maybe you'll know that you have too many if you get in a situation with your partner who's yelling at you and going, can you pick up some of these guns around the house? Like, I'm tripping on guns. That might be too much.
This room is just.
They're not just in this room. They're all over the house.
They're here and they're in the bedroom. That's it. Two places.
They're in my closet. Like, I can't even get to my clothes a lot of times.
No, mine's all on that one right side.
That's lies. That's not accurate.
She gets 3/4 of the closet.
That is totally not accurate. I am willing to post photos to show we don't have a closet. We have a gun safe. And then,
yeah, Kerry's got it. He's got it. He's right. That's the Texas Bigfoot. It's located in a big party area. Yep, that's where it is.
Of East Texas. Well, I went to college in East Texas. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, I guess if you were going to have one, because I went to school at Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches. Nac is one of the oldest towns in Texas, and it's considered like a forest area. So you can go knock on some trees there and lay out a donut and see if he comes.
Respect.
Sorry, guys. Somebody later will email me. Why were y'all fighting on the Q&A? I was like, we were not fighting. This is how we communicate. Thoughts on the Bundeswehr adopting the LCAN 104 with a G36 reticle?
It's an excellent optic. It certainly beats the hell out of that crap they had on their G36s. That's probably one of the finest combat sights in the world. Depending on which model you get, 5.56 they have a 1-4. Then they have I believe it's a 1.5 to 6 for the 308. I have a few of them. They're an excellent combat scope.
What guns or loadout would you use versus Bigfoot? We have a whole video on it.
The whole video on my Bigfoot gun.
His Bigfoot gun.
338 Lapua.
I think it was like a month ago we posted that one.
Yeah.
AR or SCAR 16?
AR all day. A good AR.
Does glass bedding the barrel nut extension on an AR really affect the accuracy?
No, I don't believe so. There's a lot of things that you can do where you may, if you do get it, it's so slight that you won't even see it. It's the same thing with truing the front of the upper receiver with the lapping compound and all that stuff. I really don't think you will see that much of a difference. And these are not Krieger rifles. These are not precision sniper rifles that are designed to put bullets to the same hole at 200 yards. That's not what these things are. Sometimes you have to really understand what you're trying to do here. You're looking at an assault rifle. You're looking at a combat rifle, not something that's designed to put bullets on top, inside the same hole.
Would you review the LMT MARS? I think that's supposed to be L9.
If I can get my hands on one, absolutely. Um, I have difficulty getting stuff from LMT. Like a lot of you guys seem to think because I talk so highly of them, I'm in their pocket. And I'm not. I have this LMT Estonia rifle is the first gun and first thing I've got from LMT in almost 2 years.
Yes, generally what happens is Carl Lewis calls Chris at all hours of the day and night. The man keeps odd hours, so it can be very late.
He's all over the world.
And Chris always takes his phone call, and it's generally because Carl has questions that he needs from Chris and his advice. And then Chris is like, "Hey, so can you like get me this for the channel so I can?" He was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll tell my people, or let this person." And then
Unfortunately, it's just people where the bottleneck has been.
yeah, and then that never seems to happen. But yeah.
But as soon as I can get my hands on one, you can guarantee I will.
Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to shut it down for the night. My voice held out longer than I thought it was going to. Chris is going to be getting ready to leave pretty soon. I think we're going to try to do one more Q&A next Wednesday, because after that, it'll be a month before we do them because he will be busy. So hopefully we will see you next Wednesday. Mark it in your calendar, same time. And we'll talk to you then.
Aim low.